Hello and welcome to another episode of Property-Pxrn Stars, the premium property podcast, brought to you by your hosts, David Lindley.
And I'm Matt Giggs.
And today our guest, our star, is Sarah-Louise Fairburn from Imp Maker. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Thank you for joining us. So just by way of a very bad but brief introduction, Sarah-Louise runs a business which is an interesting business for lots of different reasons and is tangentially linked to what we talk about, which is premium property, but is all about hampers. And well, you tell me how you would describe Imp Maker, because I think it's a really interesting company and a little bit different, isn't it? So how would you describe it?
Yeah, so we're the modern way to gift food and drink.
It's much better than I did.
So for many years I received corporate gifts, and to be quite honest, nothing ever really stood out to me. I'd probably keep the wicker basket, maybe keep the bottle of fizz, and then I'd end up re-gifting the loose leaf tea to mum and things like that. So I wanted to create a brand basically that when somebody received it, it would create some emotion, it would create some memories, and basically everything inside it would be used in the here and now.
Yeah.
So that's what it's about, luxury lifestyle, modern gifts, the modern way of doing it.
And it is that. So full disclosure, I've given Imp Maker gifts, I've received them. We've done some work together from a business to business point of view and through buyer design as well. We've worked together, but none of that would have happened if it was rubbish stuff. It's not. It's really, really good. I think I said to you, my wife's worked in for Harrods Estates, and she works in quite a high-end law firm in Mayfair. They do lots of gifting, and she's seen a fair share of this stuff, let's just call it. And she saw when we were given one by Adam, actually, one of your hampers. She was like, "Wow, this is actually really, really impressive." So anyway, we'll get into it. I think from the outside looking in, that looks like a very hard business to run. You're dealing with deadlines, expectations, fresh produce, people all over the country. What made you get into this? And it's as hard as it looks from the outside as well.
It's so much harder than it looks, and I have got so many scars. It's unbelievable, but I think on the outside, I was talking actually to another entrepreneur this morning and said the secret is we make things look really easy, but underneath we really, really feel it. And it's not easy creating a luxury brand. You guys know that as well as I do. And for me, it's all about the attention to detail and really what is the added value. And I think when you've got a bit of a different vision, a different mindset, and you won't settle and you won't give up, I think they're sort of the key attributes to building something that's quite special in terms of a brand and in terms of a business. And food and drink gifting, I guess, quite like property, you would think, well, actually, anybody can do that. And there's lots of people in the market that do it, but I think not lots of people do it incredibly well and have that vision and the attention to detail. And I think we've probably all in this room got that gift of seeing things slightly differently in how we create things to really add value to what we offer to the end customer, really. I think that's the magic.
And when you say you won't settle, I like that, but what won't you settle on? What kind of things, what examples would you say where you've agitated a situation because you won't settle?
Well, it's really, really interesting. So let me give you an example. So a really close dear friend of mine actually has connections with a very big luxury food and drink gifting business in London. I won't name any names.
Can we guess Can we guess the one that you're talking about?
Yeah, you probably maybe can guess the one that I'm talking about. And probably 3 years ago, he was out for dinner with somebody really senior in that business, and he mentioned Imp Maker, and they said, "Oh, they'll be around for 6 months and then they'll be gone, not a patch on us." And then it was really interesting to know we were actually on their board meeting agenda a few months ago. So obviously we're causing a bit of disruption,
Yes,
we're ruffling a few feathers. Very much that's what sort of I'm about really as an entrepreneur. I think a lot of people say, what does Imp Maker even mean? Why did you call it Imp Maker? And people think the imp is like impeccable, or some people think because we're from Lincolnshire, it's the Lincolnshire imp, like the little mascot from Lincolnshire. But it's a bit deeper than that. So an imp is like a disruptive sprite, and that's really what I'm out to do. I want to disrupt the norm, disrupt the food and drink gifting market, and I'm prepared to put as much graft as I need to do to make that happen really, and just keep our products the most fresh, the most modern, get the brand out there and really sort of rub a few of the other businesses up the wrong way.
I love that. I think you're doing something right when you're pissing people off. Matt, I was telling you a story before we came in here today where I've been blacklisted by a certain company. I was like, great, that's exactly what I want.
Tell me, tell me where did this I suppose, standard came? Where did that come from? Where can you look back in your life and think? Because I don't think you can just become someone who has high standards. Like you can't just go, I'm going to start a business with high standards. It doesn't you've got that in you, it's ingrained in you, it's a belief, it's come from somewhere. Where's that come from for you? Like that level of kind of like, it's got to be right, it's got to be this, that clarity, just hearing you talk about it, it's like, I can imagine now what it looks like as such.
It's such a broad question, that, isn't it? Because you sort of look back through your life, don't you, and you think, why am I the way I am sometimes? Because some people that know me would think, maybe I'm quite stubborn in some ways, and other people would say, I just work really hard.
Driven.
I'm really driven. And once I've got something in my head, it's in my head, and I won't stop until I succeed on it, really. And I also think that as I've got a bit older, I've got four children, I almost feel like I've got even bigger point to prove, particularly to my daughter. So I've got 3 girls and a boy, to say, actually, if you basically work your arse off and you've got a really good vision, you can achieve anything. And I really do believe that. And I do believe, though, that you need the right people around you on that journey. I'm a big one for life's a mirror, and you become who you surround yourself with. You've got to be very careful, particularly when you've got a certain sort of vision and mindset, that you have the right people with you. Because not everybody will get that, and not everybody will get the vision. So you need to have people around you that genuinely want you to win, and that you just got to notice people that are clapping for you, really, when you're winning, and are there to support you when you're losing. I think that's a really massive, massive thing.
Has that come from some bad experiences around that area? Because I think I can echo the same sentiments of working in business for 29 years, like 30 years leading teams, but also going on my own 12, 13 years ago, and going through the waves of cultures that you go through sometimes. And you kind of have to really choose wisely and be very observant over the people that you have around you.
Yeah, no, you do. So I've had, as most people have in life, I've probably got quite an interesting story, really, I guess. But I have learned about having the right people around me. So for 15 years, myself and my ex-husband, we ran a really big farming business together. And what we did had never been achieved in the farming sector. We won multiple awards for business disruption, for business growth, and we were just both quite dogged in terms of the brand and what we wanted to achieve. And we ended up becoming one of the biggest egg brands in the UK, basically, and supplying all the big supermarkets. And we very much did that together and as a team. And again, it was consistency and determination. But sadly, myself and my ex-husband, we separated, and I had to leave that business behind. And I found that really quite hard at the time to deal with, because
emotional effort and
it was the emotion, it was the effort. I mean, it was the amount of hours that we would put into this business was absolutely insane. We had a lot of knockbacks together as a couple. We had a lot of things that went wrong. But we sort of never gave up, and we achieved incredible things and grew the business to be a very, very big success indeed. And for me and my children, we basically started from scratch. And I think that has given me even additional drive and determination to make Imp Maker incredibly successful. Almost like I've got an even bigger point to prove. We did that in eggs, but I feel like my children, I really want them to see that you can start again and use those skills. And actually, I've got a really good network of people. When we talk about become who you're around, a lot of people have surprised me, and it can be one way or another. So there's certain people that I have absolutely, walked over hot coals for, that have been nowhere to be seen when I've been starting from scratch in this brand. And then there have been what you call complete strangers that now will be in my life, hopefully for the rest of my life, because they have absolutely done everything to help me, and they've seen that passion in me and that determination, and they've wanted to support me. And I think that's been a really big lesson. It's quite remarkable, really.
That's really, really, really interesting. And that's funny though, that often is unfortunately the case. You can take another example of, growing up around people, and when you start, they cheer you until you're successful. Is that right? And then as soon as success arrives, then resentment and jealousy kicks into gear, and it becomes a very interesting dynamic for people that have. So if you go back to your ex-husband and yourself growing that first business, what I can hear from that is that journey to have got to where you got to. I know how painful a lot of the journey is. And it's disruptive in so many areas of your life and difficult to challenge. And it's only very occasionally you get to win and pat yourself on your back. But most people just see the success element of that journey. and don't realise the sacrifice.
Oh, massive sacrifice. And it's not just from a work and a sheer graft point of view. It's, you know, it has big impact on your relationships. It has being in business, and, you know, being successful in business ultimately does mean missing out on time with the people that you really love, your children, your family. But I also do think that gives, particularly the children, actually quite a big gift, because, you know, my children in particular, you know, even though they would love to spend more time with the mum, they all really do have something a bit special in them. So in fact, only on Saturday when I went to collect my children from school, their teacher said they're just sparky. There's something a little bit different about them. I can't describe it. And they challenge and they ask questions, which is probably quite difficult as a teacher to manage, I guess. But I love that. I love that they've got that spark, that, well, why are we doing it like that? Is there a better way? You know, and I think that, well, I hope that I'm helping give them that gift to not to, you know, challenge the norm and not be afraid to ask why, and to believe that they're going to win, really, in whatever they want to do and put their mind to.
Just to prove this isn't all words, your 3 children are sat outside the studio right now as we speak.
I thought it was going to be an interview all 4 of you, actually. But, yeah.
I know.
Well,
yeah.
but you must feel very proud to hear that, because to a degree, you know, I suppose your legacy, if you like, is your kids in some respects, and how they become is from a reflection of what they've observed.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah,
that's, you should take
good,
that as a
good and
compliment.
bad.
Everyone's got faults and flaws, haven't they? I think that if you embrace them and you understand them and you're aware of them, it helps you to create a lot more value moving forward. But just coming back to that kind of journey, so you've come out of one, and it is grueling. Growing any business is grueling, as you've done and I've done, and you've done yourself. It's grueling. To go and do it again.
Yeah.
What's given you that kind of, I'm going to do this all over again? What's given you that spark to go and do it?
I just wholeheartedly believe in it.
Right.
I believe in the brand. I believe in the concept. I feel excited by it. There's not a day that goes by that I don't love the brand and feel excited about it. There are days when I wake up and I think, right, we've got another massive problem today. What the hell am I going to do? How am I going to deal with this? But I always do, and I always find a way. I know that Imp Maker will be one of the biggest food and drink gifting businesses in the UK very, very shortly. And I just know it. We get some incredible feedback, not just from customers, but also from entrepreneurs that go, do you know what, this is a bit cool, this is a bit different. And that helps drive me and move me on. And yeah, we've hit quite a few challenges. And actually, I think that's quite exciting, really, because it's finding a way. Well, everything from supply chain challenges to site challenges. We grew so quick last year, it was unbelievable. I bought a factory and I shouldn't have bought it. I should have rented it because it wasn't big enough. We were having to have marquees erected to put the hampers in to get it out. We had issues with suppliers getting product into us because we'd grown so quick. I bought a computer system and it cost me a fortune and it was absolutely atrocious. And we packed nearly £800,000 worth of gifts over peak from an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah. So literally I was in the factory still at 1 o'clock every morning, just with lines of clipboards across the factory floor, going, right, how many tomahawk steak hampers are we packing tomorrow? How many cheese hampers? How many champagne hampers? And not one customer got let down. Everybody got the gift.
That's incredible.
And I just think it's not just me, but I've got a really, really amazing team that also massively believe in the brand, and they have my back, which I think is really, it's really important, but it's really hard to get a team, I think, that is as tight-knit as what I have now.
What sort of size is the team?
So the team now is, we've got a team of 8, but coming into peak time, we'll probably sit at around between 20 and 24. I'll have to bring people in to help us pack, and just make sure that we keep obviously the same level of quality as things really go sort of boom during November and December. But something we've worked massively on this year is, of course, we're going to be busy November and December. We're a food and drink gifting business, but really big into the corporate side of things as well. So we supply food and drink gifts to likes of Ferrari, obviously by Design Homes, which is just amazing collaboration. as well as some of the really big corporates that use us for, employee rewards. So we're really starting to make sure that we don't just have really big peaks and troughs. We're trying to keep it so the business is consistent all year round, and everyone has a birthday, right? Who doesn't want a tomahawk steak for their birthday?
Well, you mentioned it. You must have done some research on my profile, because I could murder one of those. But just talk about the differentiators to your brand for me.
Yeah.
David's obviously done a lot more homework because he's been working with you. I'm coming at this as slightly new, fresh, like the listeners would probably be listening now. So tell us a little bit about what's different to your product.
Well, we're not afraid to be a little bit cheeky, disrupt the norm. We have a mixture of brand new artisan makers. So basically working with really amazing entrepreneurs that are starting out, that are creating really cool alcohol brands or really cool food brands, or, cheeses. We've got some amazing, really young farmers and things that supply us fresh products as well. And we also have really relevant modern brands, and we mix the two together in a way that creates an experience. So we really think about the food and drink gift and how it's going to be received. Whereas I think a lot of the competition you'll see online, that it'll look like an experience in this beautiful photo, and there'll be all fresh figs with the cheese and fresh grapes and fresh celery. But when you receive it, you realise that was just to make the photography look really great. And actually you don't receive that all as an experience. Whereabout, when you receive it, you have everything with it that you can enjoy in the moment. So whether that's the fresh celery and figs with your cheese, or whether it's beautiful tomatoes with your tomahawk steak, and the best horseradish sauce that is from a completely different maker that you just can't pick off the shelf, it just really starts to heighten that experience. And then obviously we do things like you can add your favourite tipple, and not everybody drinks now. So we have some really cool makers that are creating some beautiful non-alcoholic drinks. And then in addition, the whole unboxing experience with us is amazing. So we think about everything, how the packaging looks, how it feels, how you receive it when you open it. Does it feel really strong and robust? We even wrap all the different products separately, so people really is that unboxing sensory experience, a beautiful, gift message of your choice in there for the person you love, and also like a how do you enjoy this experience card in some of the gifts as well, when it's a tomahawk steak, showing you how you can cook it really easily. And we really just think about the whole end-to-end experience, from receiving it to enjoying it. It's not just about chucking stuff in. What is value? Some people go, you seem a bit expensive. I'm like, yeah, but you put us next to another one of our competitors, you won't actually think we're expensive, because when you get something from us, you'll love it all and you'll enjoy it. You can maybe pay a little bit less, but actually a load of it's going to go in the cupboard, or you're going to want to give it away. So actually, what is value here?
You might not like me for saying this. I don't think you're expensive. I genuinely, I was like, this seems like great value. I'm not just saying that either.
Yeah, that is an amazing.
But it's funny to say about unboxing. I never thought it like that. But unboxing is a thing now, isn't it? Not just in the hamper world or whatever, but you see people unboxing stuff all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
I've never thought about it that way. But that's especially true.
Can I really, did you go, that's our market there? They aren't price orientated, they're experience orientated. They're kind of value orientated people. Did you start there, or did you start with your product?
Do you know what I started with? I started with myself.
What you would want.
Yeah.
And expect.
So I thought about it sort of from my eyes, and then obviously I canvassed, close friends and family, but people more of, I feel like Imp Maker is a work hard, play hard sort of customer demographic. We actually find that although we are doing really well from a southern customer perspective, northerners really love us. Northern entrepreneurs seem to absolutely love the brand, and they just seem to absolutely get it. And I think that's because it's of the mindset of understanding the concept and what we're trying to achieve here, because I always use the gin and tonic analogy. And I thought about this when I created Imp Maker as a brand, because I would receive, like I say, lots of other gifts from food and drink businesses. And I used to think, it's just so boring. And it didn't feel like it had evolved and moved on in a way that we live nowadays. So I always say, when I was younger, we used to go out and it'd be, Gordon's gin and Schweppes tonic. You'd be lucky if you got some ice in it, depending what age you are.
Lemon.
Do you remember? Yeah, a bit of lemon, you'd be a bit posh. And then the gin started to evolve, didn't they? You got different flavours. And now I get to a place where if I go to a bar and I can't have loads of different flavours of gin, different varieties of tonic, loads of fresh garnish and loads of ice in a nice glass, I'm really disappointed.
Yeah.
So everything moves on. But I felt like the food and drink gifting market had remained quite stagnant, where you saw these hampers in a very traditional format, throwing in like biscuits, loose leaf tea, bags of crisps, just anything that you can to make that look like you're getting a lot for your money. That's not what we are. We're about you receiving a food and drink gift that you're going to enjoy now and that you're going to gift to someone, and they're going to ring you up and go, that was bloody brilliant. I've never seen them before. That's amazing. I've really, really enjoyed that tomahawk steak or that cheese and wine night that you've gifted us, because it makes somebody feel something.
What I'm hearing, if I'm right, is that so I would buy that box for somebody else potentially, and the thought reflects well on me.
Yeah.
Does
There's
that make
there's
sense?
a bit of viral nature to it as well. Like, I got bought one, and then I've been buying them for other people since.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the great concept, isn't it?
But you know what I think it is as well, and I've spoke about it a little bit earlier on about the people you're around influence you, so you've got to be really careful, right, who you have around you. But it's also the same when you are giving somebody a gift, particularly if you're a corporate, because if I'm giving you a gift and it's a gift that you can share with your family are also going to be talking about that gift, not just you.
Yeah, for sure.
So therefore, it's creating more of a memory and it's influencing you with our brand in your home.
That's it.
Which makes such a big difference. So we do everything from like movie night boxes for your kids to champagne family movie nights that you can all enjoy. And once you're enjoying that as a family, it's quite a bonding experience. So it keeps that brand in mind.
So because it's so vast, like and there's a lot of variables to the kind of delivery of what you provide, the content of it. Is that quite hard to market? Because I'm just thinking, like, I'm sat here now and like ignorance is bliss.
Yeah,
So
of
I've come
course.
into this with very little research. I've wanted to kind of take my own perspective today and ask questions that are more natural rather than prepared.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm thinking, wow, I want the movie night one. I want the tomahawk steak one. I've bought 3 boxes in my mind before we've kicked off. And I'm thinking, who can I send them to? That's just my brain, by the way. But I think it really encapsulates a lot of that kind of, there's a lot of emotion in that purchase and that sharing of what you do. Is it quite difficult to do an elevator pitch in that way, or is it quite simple?
No, do you know, that has been probably the single biggest challenge, and it definitely the most expensive challenge in running Imp Maker. Because if you look at us as a business, and if you want to get us, if we want to, get out to as many people in the UK, say, as possible, what would you think the channels are? So you'd think obviously Google, you've got Instagram, haven't you? You've got TikTok, Meta. For us, we really went hard from a Google perspective to try and get the brand out there, and it cost us dearly, because when you see our product next to the others, like I said, you know, a lot of our competition will have fresh products in their hamper shot, although you don't necessarily receive those fresh products, but we do. And we're trying to compete on Google. How are you going to compete, right? It's really, really quite difficult just seeing it in the cold light of day. And in my previous life, online was not my bag. I was dealing with all the big supermarkets face to face at a really high level, which actually learnt me a lot. But I wasn't dealing with Google. I wasn't online. And I feel like I could sit with anyone and say, this is why we're the best. And I can send you the gift and you go, she was right. That's why they are the best food and drink gift. But to do it on Google has been incredibly, incredibly challenging for us. And it has cost us dearly. We have lost a lot of money in the last few years acquiring customers. But what I would say is the customers that we've acquired, we keep, which is really valuable. Would you keep them anyway?
Would you keep, because it sounds like me the product is that good.
Without question, we keep them. But for
So
us, it's the reach. It's the cost to. Well, it's marketing your brand.
Yeah.
You guys will know this as much as anybody. It's getting your brand name out there, and it's not easy. People think it's a quick win. Oh, I'm going to set a business up. I'm going to set a brand up. It is expensive to get your brand out there.
And is it more expensive in this end of the market because there's tradition in people's minds when they think of gifts, hampers, etc.? So it's like trying to, I suppose, in estate agents' terms, in a nice way, people will think Savills, Knight Frank, the kind of struts, all of that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
you're trying to interrupt that market for us. There's different strategies that we take on. I assume it's just no different.
You guys genuinely, and the reason I'm here today, honestly, I'm just so in awe of what you do, and I just love you as people, especially David. You know, I'm just so in awe of what you've done in business. But it's really interesting when you look at our brands side by side, because I think what we do is really actually quite aligned. I feel like we're both very modern in our approach to what we do. And a lot of the competition in our fields are still very traditional in their approach. And I think that does give us the edge. So very similar, when I see one of your ads, and I do, they come up on my Instagram feed all the time, you know, Savills, all the other big names are always coming up. I'm always looking at nice houses, right? Who doesn't? And then one of your ads come genuinely, it's not because I'm biased, but I look and just the imagery, how it's positioned. I think I'm always commenting saying, brilliant, that is how to sell a property, because it is. And it still amazes me how many actual estate agents, same in food and drink gifting, that can't photograph a property correctly, or they can't photograph food and drink gifts in a way that is really relevant to how people want to live now. Yeah. And I think that gives us the edge, really.
So, and again, as a similarity, funny you say about Google, we spent a load of money on Google, and it's like a shotgun that you get for every 10 rounds. I'm going to stretch this metaphor now, but anyway, 10 rounds out there, you hit one good customer, and then the rest of them is just, I'm not sure about that. So just out of interest, you moved away from Google, spending more on the Meta platform? Is that doing better for you because people can look and feel and see it a bit better?
So we've got some really cool things actually coming in the pipeline. So I've learned a lot over the last 4 years, and I've been very wounded actually by a lot of the learnings, but we're still getting up, and Google was one of them. Google hurt us a lot because it cost us a lot of money. But what I would say is the customers we've acquired, we've managed to retain a lot of them, and also Google has helped us disrupt the market. And we know this.
So that's a good
because
thing.
A lot of people now that are really big competitors in food and drink gifting that would never even thought that we were on the map a couple of years ago, guess what, on Google they're bidding on Imp Maker as a keyword. So if I type Imp Maker in now, you'll get the big names coming up before us.
They're trying to drown you out.
Exactly.
Wow.
So actually, it's like you said, it makes me smile because I'm like, doing something right, because it's costing you to bid on us, which is interesting.
Love that. That's a really good perspective, isn't it? Because if you think about it, that's worth a lot of money in itself, isn't it? The disruption element to what you want to do. You're competitive. I can feel that, and I know you want to win. And I think the idea is that you've gone to a place where financially it's been a massive investment, and you question that, but there's a massive amount of value coming back round by what you've just said.
Yeah, and another really interesting thing, and it makes my heart sing, but it make my team hate it, but I love it, is the team will ring and go, "Oh, somebody's copied our products again." And I'm like, but that's amazing, because we're little old Imp Maker, and they've got teams of people on this that they're paying hundreds of thousands of pounds to do that, and they're copying us. So that's really flattering. I said, so do you know what we need to do? We can move a lot quicker than them. So do you know what? We're going to change it. We're going to adapt it. Our next gift's going to be even more modern, and we're going to photograph it quicker than them, and we're going to get it online in a day. And they can't do that, you see.
Can't be that agile.
Exactly, and we can.
And so you've turned what could be deemed as a negative situation or stressful situation, and you've used that as fuel to kind of create something even better.
I think you need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what you've got to do. Because we're all evolving, we're all adapting, we're getting older, all the rest of it. And I just think the fun in it is about being able to change things really quickly if you need to. Don't you? Particularly in the brand world. Yeah. You've got to be quick and agile.
Well, yeah, I can imagine you must be in the brand world, because there's always some kind of competition or someone trying to top the other.
Course.
But it does go back to the point that actually it's the most challenging situations that teach you the most, or the biggest lessons, or if you're open-minded to taking that on board. Would you say that's been the case then for you?
Massively.
Yeah.
Massively.
The wins are great and they're quite nice, but actually if you were to count all of the best business lessons, growing a business previously and the one that you're doing now, it's been those biggest challenges that have taught you the most.
I mean, the one thing I actually feel quite guilty about at times is, so I'll have quite a few people, mainly sort of locally. So in Lincolnshire, it's not a huge sort of county, and because of what we did in the farming world, and now we run a really sort of cool food and drink business locally, quite a few people know you locally. And so many people will drop me a message or see me and say, how do you do that on your own with 4 kids? That business, it's amazing. It looks absolutely brilliant. And I'll always say, it's really blinking hard, and sometimes I'll have a day in bed and think, my God, my head absolutely kills, and we'll have problems hit us. And I'm like, how are we going to solve it? But I tell you what, I'll always get back up and solve it. But I think in the world of social media, we can make it look really sexy and easy and nice how we live. And we never take a picture, do we, of our worst, darkest days.
Yeah.
And actually, that's where you learn your biggest lessons. So like, in my home, when you're putting your shoes on or coming in, I've got a big picture on the wall of a ship, and it says, "A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor."
No.
And it's my fave, and I love it because it just reminds me every time, and it's true
When
that
you hit
is.
the choppy water.
It's true that it's true, isn't it?
Oh my God, I can't tell you how true it is.
It's so true. But I did learn that in the farming world as
You
well.
almost
Because we
have
had
to,
a lot
like-
of challenges, and that's how you get great, really.
You almost have to like enjoy it, like force yourself to embrace it, soak it up. It's hard to do it when you're knee deep in situations.
Yeah.
But it's in that situation, if you've got a quote on a wall, or you've got a favourite quote or a bit of advice, a video, whatever it is you can just turn to, and that's your kind of like, that's your mantra there, right there. I need to lock into that. Because you're managing your emotions all the time, aren't you, running a business?
Yeah, for sure. And ask for help.
Tell me about that. So, is that something that comes with your... Is that something you had to learn, or is it natural?
Yeah, I think I've really had to learn that, and I've had to learn it the hard way. So this last year at Imp Maker is probably been the most challenging year of my whole working career, actually.
How come?
It has been a really tough year. To be honest, we got in January, after having such a successful Christmas, in January I thought I didn't even know if we were going to have a business, in all honesty, because I'd changed account systems, I'd changed stock systems in the busiest time of year. We had all these new customers that we'd acquired, that we got all these orders out to. And then we hit January and we're like, what are we doing here? We'd spent a fortune on Google, we'd spent a fortune on advertising, and we hadn't made any money. But we'd acquired loads of customers and we'd grown the brand. But for that, for me, running the business on my own, I'm on my own with the children, it's frightening to be in that situation where you think, right, I'm growing. In fact, one of a really, really famous entrepreneur actually said to me a couple of months ago, you're running this business like you're running a massive tech company. Like you just acquiring customers, and I'm a growth mindset person. I'm like, right, let's just take everyone out. Let's take everyone out. We're the best. Now's the time. Let's take everyone out. But I haven't got massive city money, big investors backing me like some of the others have. It's little old me. So we really in January had to go 1 minute, and we've really had to sort of go back to basics in terms of systems, in terms of, how much we spend on marketing. But what we have done is we've become really lean, really smart, and we've known what works from a marketing perspective now. So when we're acquiring customers, we're actually making margin now. So we're getting cleverer with the investment that we've made. But honestly, this year, I thought, I don't know how we're going to survive this year. It was really interesting because we'd spent so much money on marketing the previous year to gain those customers. It's been really, really challenging.
What year in the business is that? So
we're coming into, that'd be year 3. So we're coming to our 4th Christmas this year. And we've had to, the biggest thing I would say as well to anybody starting a business is, it's having somebody incredibly smart looking after your purse strings and your money. It's so
a COO or a finance good, serious.
Honestly, but somebody that's totally got your back, that you can trust, that's got your ear, that's not going to stifle you and smother you, but is also going to go, right, if you want to do this, Sarah-Louise, because I'm a bit of a bull, no, we're doing it. Because I've got a reason, because there's a strategy, because it's going to hurt the competition, or it's going to gain more market share, or it's going to boost the brand from X, Y, and Z. But you need someone that goes, okay, well, if you want to do that, it's going to cost you this, and you're going to lose this in margin. And that's what I've needed, and I have that now. I've got the best person now looking after the money.
That's amazing.
And it has been transformational for the brand.
When I was hearing you speak earlier, certainly about the earlier part of the journey, there was margin in my head. All I kept thinking, how can you get the margin when you... Because all of the independent, I don't want to call them retailers, producers, whatever you want to call them, they come at a higher price, generally, because it's not mass market that you're going for. So I was just thinking, well, that's interesting, because how do you make yourself competitive then in terms of finding that margin? Because you'd have to go up such a few levels to find the gap, even if it's 10%.
So there's a few things in it that are interesting, but as we've grown, I've not actually used this to my advantage as much, because I felt like I've been a busy fool. As we honestly grew so quick that I can't begin to tell you. I've been everything from the hamper packer to the person looking at accounts to the person talking to a supplier to deciding what we're going to do on Google. Literally, you've got so many hats, it's unbelievable. But for me, my background and the network I've got really has helped me. So because I used to deal with all the big supermarkets in my previous life, I've got a lot of contacts in terms of food and drink producers. I've got, there's one lady that really has massively inspired me in my whole career, my life actually. She's an amazing, amazing woman called Judith Batcher, and she was brand director for Sainsbury's, and she is an awesome female. I remember getting the opportunity first to meet her with eggs, and I'm the sort of person that I sort of think when I'm in a situation with somebody, I sort of think, screw it, I'm going to talk to them. Normally people would be nervous. I think you've got one shot, haven't you, to make an impression. I remember I was sort of much younger, it was probably sort of 12, 13 years ago. We'd been at a conference and she was stood in the lift and people wouldn't get in the lift with her. They were sort of frightened to get in the lift with her, and I jumped in the lift with her. I said, oh, hello, Judith. And she was like, who's this person? And I just said, oh, we're your new egg suppliers. And she was like, oh, really? And I said, oh, and yeah, this is what we do on the farm. And, we do it all with our family business and our children. And we're breeding this new breed of bird that can lay a blue egg. And I was telling her all about it. And she was like, oh, that's wonderful. And, lovely to meet you. And she shook my hand. And then a couple of months later, she actually asked to meet me about brand development on eggs. She was asking my advice and my opinion, because she was like, I love your honesty. It was refreshing to me that you would just talk to me like that. And actually, I was supposed to be with her now with a group of females from food. I was supposed to be in Kenya right now doing a challenge for Farm Africa charity. And she actually got me involved in that, Women from Food and Farming, going out to Africa and farming with all the female farmers out there that really need support and help in how to farm efficiently and everything. She got me into that, and we were supposed to be there now, but my mother's been not very well actually, so she can't have the children, so I couldn't go. But the big point was, she talked to me one day about eggs, and I know they just seem like a pack of eggs to you, but how that lady thought has really shaped how I think about our brand. And she was like, Sarah-Louise, it's not just a pack of eggs. She was like, those eggs need to look a certain way on the shelf. A customer has like a few seconds to make that decision on what they're going to purchase. Now that'll either be on price, or it'll either be on visuals, or for some customers it might be if it's organic, free range, whatever. So they're taking that choice. Then they're going to put it in the basket. Depending on about where it's in the shop, you need to be careful that that pack is strong enough so it's not going to get damaged in the trolley. This is how she thinks. But for every product, she used to think like this. She's like a genius. The quality that lady has in her head about every product is insane. She'd go, then you're going to get them out of your trolley, and hopefully they're not broken because the packaging's going to be great, right? Because that's what I want for our brand. I'm like, okay. She's like, and then you're going to get them to the till. You're going to go through. You want my lady to check them, that they're going to be right. She's thinking about everything. Then when you put it in the bag, the packaging doesn't want to rip a carrier bag, does it, when it's in the parking lot? Because if it's sharp or serrated at the edges, that's going to annoy somebody, isn't it? That's going to annoy a customer, and they might not want to shop again, or they might not want to buy that product. Every little detail, and then even to the point of how it sounds when you crack it, this woman thinks about, that's how she thinks about quality. And that's really helped me with Imp Maker, like how people feel, that whole journey from how that box feels to the weight of it to everything. Like,
that's a great example of that question when I said at the start, where does it come from? I mean, that's a massive part of where your standards come from, and your insight into the experience, and how important that, because brand, everyone talks about brand, but brand is actually not the logo, or it's that feeling across the whole experience, isn't it?
It's that whole end-to-end journey, and that is the bit that's really hard to execute, as we all know, because parts of that journey as an entrepreneur you're not necessarily in control of, and I'm sure most entrepreneurs are control freaks in that way, but it's about how do we manage that chain so to the best of our ability we know that that product is how we would want to receive that and how we feel about our brand, and that's challenging as we grow to keep that.
It's really interesting, and it's led me on to something I wanted to ask you about, and it's a bit rich for me and Matt to sit here and ask this, but in our industry there are groups like Women in Estate Agency and things like that, because it's a typically male-dominated industry and so on. So it's interesting that you're a female entrepreneur, and then you talked about your mentor almost, or idol, I don't know what you'd call her, but also was obviously a great mind, but I think part of that from what you were saying there was that she was a woman in business as well. I'm conscious outside you've got 3 daughters sat there that you want to in some way inspire with what you're doing. So what's your experience been like of being a woman in business, and what advice would you give to someone who's coming into business maybe, or being an entrepreneur, or how's that affected your business?
I think it's a really interesting question. So I am obviously a massive advocate for women in business, for empowering women. And there's a lot of females in my life that have really inspired me. But what I would say is there's a lot of amazing men that have inspired me, that have helped me in business as well. I think some of the challenges as a female, I mean, something in particular that I have struggled with at times, and I will say it openly, I've not said this actually before openly, is sometimes people will be very different as a female. So if I'm going out to sell a product to a male, so say a corporate, you know, sometimes it's perceived as maybe I'm going to want to go on a date with that person when actually I don't, because I'm a female, and man probably definitely wouldn't get that same reception. So it does sometimes blur the lines and make things a little bit awkward. I've found some of those situations quite uncomfortable as a woman, but I feel like I'm quite resilient and strong, and I just think I want to support women that maybe aren't as resilient and strong as me. So you've got to think my background. So growing up, you know, I went to one of the worst schools arguably in Yorkshire, so I've been brought up to be pretty tough and run very quickly if you've needed to as well. And then I married a farmer, so I was in a very male dominated you know, sector, you know, dealing with lots of very strong men as well on a daily basis. Then I went to negotiate with the UK's biggest supermarkets, which, to be honest, we had quite a lot of cool females in the supermarket sector as well now, actually, that you would go to deal with and negotiate with. And then I actually became chair of the food board for Lincolnshire. And on my board, it was the vast majority, again, were men, and a lot of them were absolutely incredible. But I have learned how to hold my own and hold my own ground, and I'm pretty strong in that regard. But I do sort of fear sometimes for, you know, some really creative entrepreneurial women, if they necessarily haven't got that, what's the word?
Resilience?
Yeah, it's not just resilience, but, you know, I'm sort of, I can't really swear, can I? But yeah, I'll tell someone to go and,
is it self-acceptance?
You know, if they upset me, and it won't bother me. But, you know, for some women that can actually probably be quite intimidating, actually. And I don't know about for you from an estate agent's perspective, if, you know, sometimes females when they're doing viewings maybe are in that situation where they've felt intimidated. Yes. But yeah, and it can happen, and I have felt like that. And you know, I've had to be very clear at times. So obviously we're here to talk about corporate gifts, not about, you know, potentially entering a relationship with me. You know, I'm here to sell my product, not to sell myself. That I found that quite hard and challenging, actually.
Women in the stage have definitely raised awareness enough for guys like us who we just don't have any idea about that, because we're men and we're not in that situation. You can never really kind of fully empathise with the challenges of how that could actually be, you know, on the receiving end. All you can do is make sure you're aware of your own interactions and how you help people. But what I sort of sense from all of those parts of the conversation is that actually the tough work that you did in the fields, as if you like, because you were in the fields, you know, the farming world, and I can only imagine, you only get a snapshot of that. I only see a snapshot on Jeremy Clarkson's show, or whatever it is. But, you know, you're dealing with a very traditionally male-dominated sort of industry where they're not used to a strong female. sat in front of them, telling them what to do and how you're going to do it.
It's interesting though, because I have some incredible men in my life that I would not want to be without, that are great entrepreneurs, that are brilliant, you know, just amazing human beings that will do things to help me in my business and I will in theirs from wanting nothing in return apart from us seeing each other be successful, because we're really nice people, right? And I think it's really sad because of a few people that behave really quite badly.
Yeah.
It causes a bit of a male-female divide.
Yeah.
And it is such a shame, but I think it's something we've all got to be very mindful and aware of.
I feel it's getting better, but I might be wrong. I might be because of the circles that we're in, right?
I think because we're nice people, you don't necessarily always see what goes on. I think there is, you know, there's some really horrendous things.
But I've nearly posted this the other day because my wife tackled a few situations in our business, and she's very good at tackling those situations, much better than I am. And one of my best agents is female, and she's incredible at balancing the 2 children, supporting her husband's business, and working for us. She's incredible at what she does. And there's others as well, you know, I'm not going to name names. But I do look at that, you know, you look at these programs like The Apprentice and stuff like that. I always say to my wife at the start, and I only watch a bit of them now because I've got a little bit out of hand, but the women will be in the final. For me, they seem to have everything. More resilience, more focused, better at across more of the kind of facets around what you need, in whether it's engaging, whether it's listening, and all those elements. I think guys have got to step their game up, because I think if you look back in time, and the hierarchical structures of most corporations were featured a CEO that was male. Yeah. You know, the fat cat kind of boss scenario, and it would be, you know, that kind of perception, if you like. Yet I feel like in the society that we're in now, more than ever, that actually there's never been an opportunity for women to thrive in business and grow and support each other. And I think it's very unfashionable or unexpected now for men to have that viewpoint in business, and they'd get turned away quite quick, but depending on where the organisations are, right? Yeah. So I feel like with this, there's a shift that's already happened. And I think people like yourself are making those inroads, and, you know, from personal experience, seeing the quality of what good entrepreneurs, whether they're women or not, have to offer.
I think I could talk about it all day long, actually. And I think it's interesting though, don't you think it comes from a hunger, doesn't it? So if you think about the way that, you know, we lived even, 50 years ago. So I was reading something a few days ago that right up until sort of 1974, a woman couldn't even have a credit card still.
I saw that without a man's signature. I saw the same thing, yeah.
I mean, for me, that is bonkers. But do you know what I think it's done? So I think females have, for, you know, certainly last decade, have just really felt like we've got a point to prove. Don't you feel like it's like a hunger and a drive, and like almost like you're looking sort of on at these men, you know, in these top jobs, these top careers, and to start with, you know, the women at home. I mean, my granny is a prime example, you know, looking after the home, cooking the meal, doing all those things. And then my mum's generation, she got a job, but she wouldn't have been a leader in a job. And then I'm looking at my mum thinking, you got some guy telling you what to do. I don't think I'd be liking that really, sort of thing. And you sort of build a strength from the other females in the chain, but then you're sort of looking on and you become sort of like, I guess, a hybrid version. I don't know, you've had that hunger, whereas have men necessarily
I think it's been
had
too easy.
that hunger because it's just sort of an expectation that that's how it's going to be.
I think so.
And I think maybe that's, you know, that's sort of helped, I think, shape women to have sort of the drive that they've had, you know, that point to prove, I guess.
Well, I remember, so I held an event 7 years ago now called Be You, the Modern Estate Agent. We're talking about modern. And my keynote speaker was Karen Brady, so Baroness Karen Brady. So she came along and, yeah, she was fabulous. And some questions were being asked about her being a mum and running a business the way she has done, certainly going into football, the football world, and when she started to kind of continuing in that journey, if you like, but also being a very successful mum and how she's made that work. And there's definitely a a point to prove element that I think I would say drove her on in some respects. I can't speak for her now, and I'm seeing that in a lot of females and ladies and women who have got families, but they're taking on the role in their family of leading the business, leading the kind of change. And, and I think that's something that's definitely come along, even in the 7 years since we had that conversation. Yeah,
I think what's hard though is, I guess I'm quite an extreme example because I'm on my own with 4 children, but women have sort of come on, I guess, leaps and bounds over the years in terms of, aspiration. Yeah. And I think that's completely right. My children now, I would say you can achieve anything you want to achieve if you really work hard and you're consistent. But as a female, what I find is you've got the drive, the hunger, the determination. Like myself, I've got the business to run, which is incredibly onerous and time consuming, and you have to be consistent to win without question. But on top of that, you've still got all the trappings, if you like, of what my mum would have had, my grandmother. So I've still got the house to sort out. I've still got the children to worry about and get to school. Still got the children to feed. I've still got to think about the clothing. I've still got to think about their mental well-being. What do they need to do? Running around for them for various different sports. And on top of that, I'm consistently needing to be on my A game for the business. So you've got all these things going on, whereas historically, and I know it's not always the case now because I've got some male friends that are incredible dads, but for some females it's the burden of having all that, the parenting side of things, as well as you need to be consistent in your business. It's incredibly hard.
How do you cope with that, or how do you manage yourself from burnout?
That's a really interesting one, that is. So I used to be really terrible, but I'm much better now. So I used to literally get to the point that I was so tired, I would just get the worst migraine. And I would just say, I've got to just go to sleep in a dark room, then I'd wake up and I'd be fine. Because I would be so burnt out, just trying to be consistent with everybody and everything and keep everybody happy. Whereas I think for me now, I'm a lot better at asking for help. So I ask a lot of friends, if they'll go and help me with school runs with the children. I don't feel as guilty either about the children, about me being at work. Because as they've got older in particular, they're more, I think, proud of me.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel happier. They're like, that's amazing, Mum, because there's been times where I've said, this is so hard, I'm so tired, I'm not seeing you, what have I done all this for? And they'll be like, Mum, keep going, it's amazing. And that's just such a great sort of accolade to hear that from them. And, the teachers at school will say, they come up with different ideas to the other kids. They're quite a bit off the wall, and they come up with these ideas. And I'm thinking, it's so that they're learning, aren't they? Because again, you become who you're around. And if you're around a mum that's like, I'm determined, I'm going to work my butt off, I'm going to be consistent, then equally, even though they want to spend loads of time with mummy, they know that you need to do that to win.
So how do you kind of give yourself, because you've got to have some time to yourself, would you agree?
Yeah, I think it's for getting that balance is really hard. I found that incredibly hard. So something that I do, I must do, I eat really well. I'm really funny about what I eat. So I eat just ultra healthy stuff the vast majority of the time. I'm quite disciplined in not trying to eat on the go, just eating chocolate and rubbish, because I did get to a place where I was like that, just to fuel myself.
Because you need something, I've got to have that, it's there, free, easy.
I am really disciplined in meals, and I always do try to have an hour, and I don't try and rush to the gym because I know I won't be able to fit it in my schedule, but I will try and do an hour of exercise at home and just have some time, podcasting, bit of exercise, eat well, and then go and spend some time. And now my children are getting a little bit older. My daughters, they're like my besties, so like you've invited us on today, so they've come to London. Great experience for them to come here and see this again, isn't it? How amazing. And then we'll go and have some nice dinner tonight and go a bit shopping, just spend that quality time together. I think that's really important. But the reality is, if you want a successful business, you've got to be consistent at it. You can't dip in and out of it, I don't think.
So linking you to our last guest, Stella, she was talking about females and their sleep and how important that is for them, and I can only imagine how important it is when you're juggling or spinning. Must feel like 100 plates.
Yeah.
Do you kind of switch off? I know I'm asking a bit of a personal question, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs are glued to devices and screens. And do you have like a cut-off point for that? Because I'm teaching myself more at the minute. This is probably a bit of I'm interested to hear from a fellow entrepreneur about how they, break from that cycle.
I'm going to be really, really honest. It's an addiction having a business. I think it is. And we're so accessible now, aren't we? We're so accessible, and because we're so accessible, we expect. And we expect someone's going to reply, and we expect someone's going to get back. Yeah. So in answer to your question, I'm absolutely rubbish at that. And I know I need to get better. Something that I'm really big on is meal times with the children, like sociable time is like, right, come on, none of us must have a phone at this point. Let's talk about our day. Let's talk about things we've loved, and let's talk about things we haven't loved so much. And let's just have some time together to converse, because it is so easy. It's so easy to get sidetracked. And then what happens? Inevitably, it's something, it's probably a problem, and then your mood changes, right?
Oh my God,
and you're with your family, and you're like, oh, just give me a minute, I just need to look at it. And it's not their fault in that moment, is it? So I think, for me, like meal times and family time like that, it's important without a phone, but I find it very hard to be disciplined with devices, if I'm being really honest.
And then it's hard not to be hard on yourself.
Yes.
Because I think we all, you go on social media and you see how perfect life is in so many ways, and a lot of these people that've got this perfect life of running a business from a laptop on the beach haven't really got a business, because I don't know anyone that I know that's super successful where it's been a walk in the park, and there's certainly not many people I know that love business and the game that want to sit on a beach on the laptop anyway, that it gives you a fuel and a lift like no other things can give. So entrepreneurialism is a way of life. Yeah. But sometimes it can show up with guilt. And I'm a dad of 3 kids, and there's no doubt that I could be a more supportive husband, dad, and And yet you can sometimes go down these rabbit holes of beating yourself up.
I know, yeah.
Managing your own emotions, whether it's sleep or managing those burnout situations. Are there other things that you've done? Because there's a lot of people that will be listening to this that will be able to really connect with that and the way modern life drives our life.
Yeah.
How? What else? Is there any other things that you do that you think, you mentioned listen to podcasts for argument's sake. Does that help you to switch off, or does that make your mind go even further into?
Yeah, no, I'm really, so it's interesting, isn't it? Because something I often get asked is, if you weren't running a business, what would you do? What's the ultimate end game for you? And there's a couple of things. So the first thing is, I would love to, for all the mistakes I've made and all the hurt I've felt from business, personal, whatever, it shapes you and it does learn you some really quite valuable skills. And, certainly sort of later on in life, I would love to be that person that would help other businesses, and I don't want to be a person, because I've had it in my business where you have these consultants go, oh yeah, I'll come and help you in your business, and guess what, that's a 15 grand bill, and you think, well, I really needed that like a hole in the head right now when I'm trying to grow my business. Not that, I would love to be somebody that would, go into businesses and just genuinely like help people from a place of you want them to be successful because you've hurt and you get them and you want them to win. I think that sort of really does drive me. But I think podcasts are an interesting one, because I'm really big into psychology, and I've always said as well, sort of a bit later on in life, I'd love to do like a psychology degree or something like that. I think that would sort of really interest me, and it would sort of be my happy place. I love to sort of try and think about the brain and what makes people tick and why people do what they do. Like exactly your last guest, like totally.
Now I see why you two got on so well.
Totally like up my street. Like what is the science bit, and then what is like the bit from the people that you're around and you expose yourself to. And I am quite lucky in the sense of I've got a close sort of group of friends that I really respect them. They're really intelligent, clever people. A lot of them have been entrepreneurs, incredibly successful, or doing it now. And you learn from people, don't you?
That's what I enjoy the most. That's the bit that I get excited by, is meeting new guests, meeting new people, new networks, finding out, learning from people, and it really helps you to keep a real open mind.
Yeah, of course.
Just one thing, I'll let you finish. I've ended up asking most of the questions, haven't I? Sorry about this.
It's all right. It's nice to meet you.
You've gone into this business all guns blazing. Now you're at the point where it sounds like you need to have a little bit more structure around you with the people and building. There's a book called The E-Myth. I don't know whether have you ever read that? Or
No.
It's about how you grow a business basically through your people. It's quite fascinating. Because we want to control everything. But you can't if you want a business. If you want to stay here, that's fine.
Yeah.
Or you'll be out of business because you're going to burn out at some point.
Yeah.
That's the biggest growth challenge for most entrepreneurs, is because they often find themselves in a place where they're passionate about something or they're great at something, and then it's how do you turn that something into a business? And it sounds to me like you're on that. It's like the next step towards that. How are you finding letting go more? Am I guessing that right?
Do you know, I have genuinely no issue with letting go. What I think is the biggest challenge as a business leader is getting the right people in your business. Definitely. Without question. Because something that I'm really good at is delegating.
So you're
And
good at that
if anything, I'm too trusting. That would be my friends, entrepreneurs, that criticise me and they'd go, well, that was a massive fuck up, wasn't it? Because, you just spent all that money on this amazing person and they've just cost you absolutely thousands. But it's because I go, right, if you tell me you can do this, I believe you until you show me otherwise. Whereas a lot of my friends are the opposite. They go, I don't believe you until you prove to me. Yeah. And that's been something that I've had to learn, and I am so tough now. I am so tough. Over the last couple of years has really made me hardened to people. And like, what's your agenda? Like, can you actually do what you're telling me you're going to do, and prove it first before I let you loose?
So how do you recruit and attract people?
Yeah, so for us, I think where we live is a logistical challenge, particularly being online and e-commerce. But something for us is, we're an online business. Yes, we have a packing operation in Lincolnshire, but we're throughout the UK. So ultimately, I can get talent from anywhere in the UK, right, to help me with our online. From a corporate perspective, I'm more than happy with my corporate partnership manager to go out and meet these corporate businesses. That's definitely within my skill set. Yeah. But for me, it's about having really amazing, clever people with the online side and with the marketing side that's really going to help us get to the next level as a business. And we've currently got some quite exciting people in the pipeline to do that. So watch this space.
So I think this is probably the third date that you and I have had to get in the podcast.
Third time lucky.
And one of the times, I think you said something to me like, oh, there's a good excuse, I'll let you know.
Okay.
And there was a good excuse. So tell us about what your excuse was then.
So it was very, very last minute, out of the blue. I was on the train back, funnily enough, from a meeting in London, and I had a call from a producer at Dragon's Den, which to start with, I thought it was a scam. I just completely thought, like, this can't be right. I thought you had to apply. I thought people, they don't just come to you, right? I was like, this can't be. Yeah, exactly. Wow. And then they said, look, we're going to send you over some documents. If you could have a look at it, we're really interested. We've been looking at your business sort of from afar. We've done a little bit of background due diligence, but we'd be really keen to hear more about your business because there's a potential slot for you to be on the Den.
What an amazing compliment to Imp Maker that is.
It's such a huge compliment, isn't it, really? To be noticed is incredible, isn't it? Yeah. And then to sort of be asked. And then we ended up, the due diligence was absolutely insane.
I've always wondered that because it looks from when you watch it on TV, someone does a 5 minutes pitch and they're like, here's a massive stack of cash. And you think, well, surely that, well, tell us. So during my career, I have been involved in really big audits for retailers, British Retail Consortium audits, all these sorts of things.
but just the amount of paperwork and information they want about you personally, about your business. They ask for, you know, audit paperwork about your factory. You know, they ask about anything that's been in the public domain about you that may cause a problem for you or for the show. They do mental health assessments on you. It is so intense. And for me, I've already discussed sort of how busy my life is with the children and how stretched I am for time.
That on top.
But that on top, and then all of a sudden I had a call to say, can you come on in 10 days? And I hadn't got a pitch. I mean, my heart's beating fast now even thinking about it. I've got myself in such a state about this. I can't even begin to tell you. I am like, everyone thinks I'm like super confident, like really good at these sort of things, but honestly, just continuous like sweaty palms, like my head, I couldn't sleep thinking about it. The different sort of iterations of like the pitch to walk in the den, and I had 10 days to do this, like what I was going to say when I walked out.
And
is it just you?
You don't get like a what do you call it? A
rehearsal.
No. So I thought they'd cut it. But literally, it's the actual first time I've spoke about it, because obviously you have to sign to say that you can't say anything until it's released. And I've not actually spoken to anyone about it. But when you actually, you get assigned a person that looks after you throughout the whole journey. And now I completely understand why. Because it is so challenging, like mentally, to be on that.
Do you think that's deliberate?
Yeah.
Because they're investing at the end of the day, right?
Well, they are, but it's a TV show.
It's TV show. I think there's got so much that there's the due diligence about Imp Maker, but there's also like the mental health assessments. There's so much scrutiny of what goes on TV, like with Jeremy Kyle and who was it, Love Island, all these sort of things that go on.
It's so interesting now.
Yeah.
Because I think they've had instances in the past, you've got to be, I guess they've got to be so careful about their brand, just as we have about our brand, I guess. Yeah. So they have to obviously make sure that they think you're in the right mental frame of mind to go on. And to be honest, I understand why, because I know a lot of really tough entrepreneurs, really scary.
It's the Dragon's Den.
But and so I was thinking, actually, there are a load of entrepreneurs, business people, business to business, great. But oh my word, for TV, do they absolutely rip you? It was like next level.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Wait till you see it. It's like... So
you turn up in Manchester. I haven't watched in ages. You go up a lift or something, it always used to be. And then you do the pitch and...
On your own, obviously.
You on your own?
I was on my own as well.
Because they normally go in with someone, don't they? Someone's always got someone they can lean on.
So fortunately for me, something I did was I asked for help. So one of my friends was actually on the show 10, maybe 12 years ago, and they got rejected, but her brand went huge, went viral after it, even though they didn't get the money. And I rang her and I said to her, look, I've signed confidentiality, etc. I said, could you please meet me for a coffee? Because I really need to talk to you. I'm so nervous. Yeah. And the best bit of advice ever, she was like, remember, you're not going on there to get investment. No. It's not a business, it's not an investment meeting, this, Sarah. She said, it's a TV show, it's an advert. She said, keep you cool, keep talking back what you want for your brand, because they'll cut it in any which way that's going to make amazing TV. Should have never don't smile, no matter what they say to you, keep your smile, because they cut it in such a way that you just look so under pressure. I was
going to ask you about that, but they
and
could
it was
say
like
something.
The best bit of advice.
Yeah.
That's TV, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was the best bit of advice.
That is great advice.
Like if you're going in there to kind of think you can have this conversation, it's going to be about the business, and it's going to be that, like you say, they just want to get the clips. Amazing opportunities for Imp Maker, isn't it?
And when you think, if you think you so there's these horrific, like how can I even start to describe? So I was in there, my team came the day before and helped me deliver everything and said how they wanted everything to be set up from a brand perspective, and then they had to go. So the day of the filming...
Did you sleep?
Do you know, I actually did.
Good.
And I didn't think I would, but I think it's because I hadn't bloody slept for the 9 days before, because I knew it was 10 days' time. And in my head, all I did, whether I was in the car, whether I was in the office, I had my AirPods in, listening back to myself, giving the pitch. That's all I was doing for like 9 days.
Really?
Yeah, because I was so frightened that I was going to walk out
And freeze.
and I had these dreams of me going, I don't know anything about myself or my brand all of a sudden. Like, I was just like, oh my God.
And this might be a really silly question, but say one of them, because you'd have had to set aside like evaluation and pitch amount and so on. So you'd have done that. Would you actually would have wanted one of them to invest and at the numbers you'd have given?
So it's really interesting because when you actually look at the show, I think this is right, at the time we did it, no one's ever invested more than 100K.
Yeah.
And to be honest, us as a business, we need a lot more than that to go where I want to go.
And what you're going to give away for 100K.
Exactly,
like, yeah.
exactly. And we were in a place as a business where we'd lost a lot of money because all I've done is plough money in to acquire customers. So for me, I was like, actually, this is probably bad timing for us as a business to go into the den. Coming into the next year, I think we look a bit tastier. Whereas now we look a little bit crazy because we've just thrown all this money in on marketing. We're acquiring customers. But I won't spoil it for you. But one dragon in particular totally got it.
Yeah.
And was like, this is interesting. The way you're doing it is really sort of interesting. It's like a big tech company, which was quite an interesting comment.
Oh, was that because you said earlier? Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's
he
really
was like,
interesting.
this is interesting. You're
Well, you've
either
narrowed
really
it down
crazy,
slightly.
it's like you're either really crazy or you're really smart.
Or you're really onto something.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, which is the same thing, right?
Yeah. and like you say, come out of it looking. So I think you didn't get the investment, but it's a bit of a farce. Really looking for the investment in the first place.
Well, I don't know. I think it probably is really good for certain businesses. You know, when you see some of the businesses that have been invested in, they've just grown massively and they've really helped from an entrepreneurial support and a cash support.
Yes. Yeah.
But I feel like for me, few things. So the first thing is the brand exposure, great. Second thing is, I mean, how scary, and to physically be asked is amazing. But to go on, and the fact that I've done that, I'm actually really proud of myself.
God, yeah.
Because I think I'm quite a confident person, but oh my God, I cannot tell you how frightened I was. It was literally, you literally walk into this lift and the lift doors open and they're all sat there and you'll see it. There was a guest judge as well, a special guest judge. And literally, it was, I mean, they learnt me a lot about the brand as well. I came away with some ideas from them and tips. But I mean, some of it was absolutely savage. They just totally, a couple of them just totally ripped into me.
Oh yeah,
and I just kept smiling and I was going like, yeah, thank you for your advice. I'll take that on board. Yeah, you know, I was thinking, oh my God, this is horrendous. This is savage. But
it's the TV bit though, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly.
But I mean, obviously the exposure for Imp Maker is awesome. But then, like you say, that personal accomplishment of doing that, and as well, coming back to, just because I met them sat outside, your three daughters as well, their mum's done Dragon's Den, is pretty awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. And I just think, again, it's like showing them like you can do stuff.
Yeah.
And don't be scared, like put yourself out there. It'll either be January or April.
Cool. Oh, well done.
So we'll either cut this bit or not.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, one last subject I wanted to talk about, so that if we do cut it, then there's something there at the end of it as well. So I want to talk about brand partnerships, because you mentioned earlier, and it's just really interesting, especially thinking about the premium markets too, that you've got an association with Ferrari. So like, how did that come about, and what's that done for your business too, having that association there?
Yeah, so there's a few, it's a broad question that is, and you're really good at this. So we do a lot of things from a charity perspective, I do personally. So I mentioned that we do things for Farm Africa, and sort of more recently, over the last couple of years, I'm on the board for a charity called the Star Trust. Now that charity is really interesting because it's just run by entrepreneurs. All the cash that comes into the charity just goes straight out to the people that need it. The guy that founded it used to be on the Prince's Trust. Even though Prince's Trust is amazing, he was like, I actually want all the money to go straight to the charities, not to some of the people that are running it.
Yes.
He was really passionate about that. And what he does really well is he partners with luxury businesses. And that includes Ferrari, Porsche, Maserati, you know, Bentley, Mercedes.
Why does he do that?
Because From a business perspective, as we all know, we all want to give, right? You succeed in life and then you want to help people that are less fortunate than you. That's generally, as you get more successful in life, you want to help, particularly if it's a charity that you're passionate about, that's touched you in some way, affected maybe your family, or if it's in the local community. And what's really good about the Star Trust is it donates to many different charities in a certain geography. So why that appeals to businesses is businesses get asked all the time from loads of different charities for money and support, right? So businesses can literally just say, do you know what, apply via the Star Trust. Don't barrage me, each charity, and ask me, but apply in a formal way through the Star Trust. We then as Star Trust do the due diligence, then we support if that application is robust enough, basically. And we are really, really sort of strict in terms of what we do from a due diligence perspective, actually. It's interesting. And I've been on some of these due diligence visits, and I can't tell you how harrowing it is. But something else I love about the charity is, so let me give you an example. A charity generally isn't an entrepreneurial, right? So they're not as good necessarily. They're not running it like a business. So that's why the Star Trust is great from an entrepreneur's perspective, because it's a load of entrepreneurs assessing applications. So this particular charity had asked for a porta cabin and said, this porta cabin, we need 15 grand for it. Yeah, it's for a riding charity for disabled children. They're in this porta cabin that's absolutely horrendous. We want to upgrade it and it's going to enhance X amount of children's lives. So somebody on the board said, you know what, I know a porta cabin company, somebody that owns one. We can do that for like 3 grand, not 15.
Yeah.
And then that's what we do, which I think is brilliant. And then they go, well, actually, what could you do with the rest of that cash?
Yeah.
You know, that's going to actually help those children, help those lives. It's not just throwing cash at it going, buy stuff. It's thinking about how it's going to be used. Yeah. But the point is, that's why lots of really luxury brands in the area are really well connected with the charity, because they love the fact that it's directly helping people. It's helping them boost their brand. And really importantly, for some of these big brands, the charity over time, the founder is an incredible entrepreneur and he's really well connected. So everybody that supports a charity at the events, they're all high net worth entrepreneurs themselves. Have had businesses, been really successful, got businesses now. So for, car companies like Ferrari, Maserati to just sponsor an event, they're thinking it's my demographic here, right? Yeah. So it's that holistic view of we're supporting a charity, but by us being here, we're getting more business, right? Because the charity is being supported by our demographic. People are going to buy into our brand. So it's a really, really amazing model. So I have actually met quite a lot of car companies through the charity, but also through friends. It was interesting. So we actually started supplying Ferrari through one of my really good friends who has been really successful in business, who runs a really massive delivery firm. And she went to buy a vehicle from Ferrari and she got some flowers and she was like, why aren't I getting an Imp Maker hamper? I don't want the flowers. This is how it happened. So I say have good people around you. Yeah, you can spend all the money on Google advertising for corporate, but you can have a mate that goes, why have you given me those flowers? You should give me an Imp Maker hamper. Well, what a lovely friend is that? And that's how that relationship started. Amazing. So I got a meeting, seat at the table. This is what we can do. And we've invested a lot in the business, not just on marketing, but in kit so that we can brand gifts now. So we can put your brand on wooden crates. We can do beautiful sleeves around our boxes. We print all branded cards in-house with your brand on. It's amazing how the brands evolve, really. But again, it's people. Yeah. People that want to see you win will help you win, as they say. It's very true, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I've been very fortunate in that regard. I've had a lot of people that have helped me.
I wouldn't say fortunate. I think you kind of create that from what you give out and what you do.
Yeah, thank you.
Good.
Well, look, you've been an awesome guest today. We've covered so many different subjects. I can't even keep track of it.
We've had 2 great guests today. This has been amazing, by the way. It's really nice to sit here and listen to you today.
Absolutely. And I love what you do. Love the story. Love the product as well. I wouldn't be sat here if I didn't love the product. It's genuinely really good. So anyone who's listening, go and check out Imp Maker because it's genuinely amazing. And thank you for coming all the way here and dragging your kids to the studio as well. While we record an episode, I really appreciate it.
Anything for you, thank you.
We have a tradition, a closing tradition on this podcast. Don't worry, it's nothing really bad.
It is really bad.
Well, it kind of is really bad because you just ended a great episode there. We forgot it, but don't worry.
I don't know what's wrong with me, I've got it twice. Okay, so you're on... Huh?
Young children.
Yes.
You're getting the baby brain.
Yes.
The lack of sleep as we were the last weekend. Genuinely. Okay, so you're on the Property Porn Stars podcast, all about premium property. And our guest is always the star. And whether you know it or not, everyone has their own porn star name, which is comprised of your middle name and your first pet's name in the funniest combination you can think of.
Oh.
And we're hoping you got a good one, because I say this every time. We're 30-something episodes deep, and still Matt from the pilot episode has got the funniest name of Kevin Tiny. And we've not managed to knock that off the top spot.
Tiny and porn star doesn't really... There's nothing to be proud of there, is there really? But anyway, but
I don't think mine's going to be very good. Benji Louise.
No.
I mean, that's just really not very sexy.
don't worry. 95% of the names we've been given have all had the same kind of. We're going to need to change or just get people to make one up.
Yeah,
Although
anyway.
I did have a rabbit called Hopperty.
Hopperty's
Maybe that
good.
could be related.
Yeah, something there.
Yeah.
Slightly better.
Absolutely.
Still no match for Kevin Tiny, I'm
Anyway,
afraid.
No,
thank
it's
you
not.
for being a brilliant guest. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening or watching this episode of Property Porn Stars. We really appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
See you soon.